Welcome back. Just finished up with Levi Bachmeyer, who is a great pick, Chad. I think he's got experience on both sides of the fence. Granted, I mean, classroom teacher for a couple of years, but he does have that experience, but also on the administrative side, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's nice that he knows what a classroom looks like and he's been in one and he's actually taught. But most of the superintendent job is administration. In fact, the superintendent is rarely teaching in a classroom, if ever. So, he's an administrator, and I think he is well equipped. He's worked in politics. He's worked on the policy side. He's got a fine resume for this.
Yeah, I think Levi is super, super smart. I think his balance of knowledge of policy and politics is going to benefit him very, very well. I do think the 2 years of classroom experience, particularly where he had the years of classroom experience, is going to always have a lens. Like he'll never lose that lens of what it means in a low income school, like the decisions he's being made. He understands school finance exceptionally well. He's done some incredible stuff on health insurance in West Fargo. There's work that still needs to be done. And I wasn't kidding. I mean, you said you found a Reddit thread of people who didn't like Levi, but the sort of yeah, but in all honesty, like the people who care about public education that I've seen all love the pick. The sort of normal folks not on the fringe really, really like the pick. Do I think Levi is going to get challenged from somebody on the far right? Absolutely. Just like Baszler always did. But also his just sort of the nonpartisan nature of public schools. We can't have parents thinking our public schools are one way or another. Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly right. So I don't know if you had a chance to watch the press conference yesterday, but like the guy's polished. I mean, he can answer a question. He didn't shy away. And so I'm excited about what this means. I'm excited for potentially more trust between the districts and the superintendent's office, which I think has been lost over the last several years. But I think it's a good pick.
I really agree with that. I thought his most interesting, and maybe just because, I'm a political guy, so that's where my mind went is, and the reality is for a job like his, you don't get to do it unless you win an election.
Yep.
I mean, obviously he gets to do it until next year in the election, and we'll see what the voters have to say. But it's going to be interesting. He is a Republican. He worked for a Republican governor. He was a Republican district chair. He's a Republican and a conservative. I really appreciate that he doesn't bring that overwhelming ideology. I mean, he's not coming in with an ideological agenda. He wants to make things work and work well. And that's, I think, all we can ask from any candidate. But he does have to navigate that process. And I thought it was interesting. It's a question mark whether he's going to go to the party state convention.
I think it's going to be Levi Bachmer and a bunch of other prominent Republican elected officials making a decision en masse of how they're going to handle it. I don't think it's going to be about like some will go, some won't. I think it's going to be sort of that
decision. Seems to be where it's trending. And I've heard some hot talk. And before the last convention, there was some hot talk about statewide not going, and they ended up going.
Yeah.
Then we saw that it was kind of, I think Julie Fedorchak was treated, poorly. I think Kirsten Baszler was treated poorly. I think House Majority Leader Mike LaFleur in his district was treated poorly. And I think that there is a feeling that, why would I go? Like if I'm a moderate, middle of the road, traditionally conservative Republican, what is the benefit of this other than being publicly humiliated, beat up, and then going on to win in the primary anyway? And he's in again, this is a little bit of a unique position because this is a nonpartisan position. The party endorsement has, for any other candidate, if you receive the party endorsement, you get to automatically go on the June primary ballot. You don't have to collect signatures. Well, that's not the case for Levi anyway. There's really nothing here other than, I guess, symbolically. And it is going to be interesting because I don't think it's going to be Levi Bachmeyer. I think you're exactly right. It's not going to be Levi Bachmeyer in a vacuum by himself. There's going to be a decision made by all the statewide who are up, starting with Julie Fedorchak, who's on the ballot again, obviously every 2 years being in the House. So it's gonna be interesting to see the decisions they make.
I also think the DPI election, obviously Senator Axman made it perfectly clear she wanted this appointment. She didn't get the appointment. Does she now look at running? I would be surprised if she does, because Levi is now the governor's pick, and the governor is going to make sure that Levi wins this election. But I think that the governor picks somebody who has broad appeal electorally, can raise a ton of money. I mean, he's connected to the Burgum world. He's obviously connected to the Armstrong world. But that's the only thing that would sort of throw this thing off. If somebody like Michelle Axman says, it's great that you appointed him, but I think I'd be better. And she has every right to do that, right? I
Right.
mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I would
And
not, I mean, if she made that decision, I would not begrudge her that. She has every
no,
right to make that
right,
argument. Um, the thing is, I don't really view a lot of daylight between the two of them. Now, granted, Levi hasn't exactly been in a position to be making public policy, but I do know him pretty well.
right.
I just don't perceive that. I mean, I'm sure there's a few key areas where they disagree, but generally, I mean, I think it's kind of two sides of the same coin with them.
So the one policy difference is public school advocates would really like Levi Bachmeier, and they didn't really enjoy their time with Michelle Axman last session. How's that? I mean,
Over the school choice thing, yeah.
over vouchers specifically, because I think Levi also makes a good choice. When we talk about choice, we just talk about public dollars going to private schools, but choice also can mean public charters. It can also mean transferring between public school districts. Like, we have choice that allows us to sort of move about pretty freely. It's the public dollars going to private schools that I think would probably be the biggest. And I mean, she has no education background, right? I mean, like, other than serving on the education committee and having kids, Levi's been in the trenches. So, I mean, there's some resume difference.
It makes me wonder, because with Senator Axman, I mean, she has said on the record on this podcast that she wants to be governor one day. So her political aspirations are beyond the superintendent's office.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, with Levi there, young guy, I don't think is going to have any problem getting elected and then reelected. He's going to be there for a while. Maybe Senator Axman finds a different path. I think
I was actually thinking about that exact thing, Rob, and I think her not getting this appointment might be better for her to become governor. I mean, think about our history and how many constitutional officers have ended up being governor. The last one was Alan Olson. Right. That's not the path generally. I mean, because you've had 3 attorney generals who've lost races for governor, and it's mostly been legislative outsiders, Dalrymple legislative, then lieutenant governor. So I'm not sure being in a bureaucratic job in the state capitol is the best path if Michelle Axman wants to be governor. This might be something good for her.
Well, especially one that's so central. I mean, love it or hate it, and I hate it personally, our schools have become these epicenters of
everything,
culture wars. And so you're in that superintendent position, and now you have to make real world decisions that impact, arguably, obviously one of the most important policy areas that affects children. And now you're in the middle of it. Politically, it's not a stepping stone, really.
Yep. I agree 100%. I think that's exactly spot on.
So I think she probably finds a different path, but I don't know. And the thing is, if she wanted to go, I would give her a hard look. She is a confident, smart person. I know that you didn't like some of her advocacy on a specific policy, but I think we both agree, very accomplished, very smart, certainly, worth considering. And I would consider it, but
so I think she's absolutely whip smart. I mean, she's absolutely whip smart. She advocated for a position I disagreed with. But I have great respect for her. I just don't think this is the path to get to her ultimate career goal. And also, it'd be sort of if she would run, or somebody like her who wanted the appointment and then decide, it's sort of a slap to the governor as well. And I know that she's close with the governor's team, so I'd be surprised if she does it.
Our Levi, after the interview, texted me, said, "Thanks for having me on. Let's debate smartphones sometime, old man." But we may have to have him on specifically about cell phones. Hey, let's talk No Kings, because there were some protests since the last time we recorded this show. big turnout across North Dakota again. I mean, more than, was it 9 communities? 10?
Yeah, I don't even know what the
I
number
have
was
to
because
count a
it was
lot.
places like Botno were having them.
Valley City, Williston, right? These are not liberal bastions.
Right.
and and so they they had and strong turnout. I mean, I don't know that I saw, I mean, just looking at social media pictures and media pictures, I don't know that I saw one where the attendance was that I would estimate less than a couple hundred, even in some of these smaller communities. So that is a strong turnout statewide. You and I have talked before about whether this changes the tide, whether this, affects anything. Um, I don't know that there's really I mean, maybe the couple legislative seats. I don't sense like a wave election coming in North Dakota.
I agree.
Nationally, I think might be a different story. Um, Although it was kind of interesting, and I wrote a column about it. Well, first of all, two things. I hated, in fact, this calling these rallies Hate America rallies, calling them terrorists and extremists and everything. And then, Senator Cramer putting out a press release calling the protesters left wing wackos. And the thing that bothered me about that is I have some history with Kevin Cramer when it comes to protesting. Circa 2009, I was a punk blogger, and he was a public service commissioner, fresh off losing 2 federal races against our friend Earl Pomeroy, and kind of at the nadir of his political career. And we invited him to speak at Tea Party rallies because I think he really understood the movement. I think he really had interesting things to say, and so we invited him, and he spoke. And I remember standing, stage right, listening to him rail against Democrats who were saying that we were carrying swastikas around and we were racist and bigots and extremists and cessationists. And he railed against that. And he was right. That was a terrible mistake that Democrats made, belittling that movement. And in fact, I think it was a mistake that in some ways they're still paying for today. When you want to talk about the complete erosion in trust in Democrats from people, particularly in our part of the world, he was right about that. And so I was absolutely bewildered when he said that thing about left-wing wackos, because it made me think, I mean, not only is it not true, it's a lot of perfectly reasonable, most of them perfectly reasonable. And listen, there's a few weirdos that show up at any public protest, but I mean, it's just reasonable people who agree with them or not. They have an argument that they're trying to make. They have a point of view they're trying to express about the way our country is being governed right now. And for him to call them wackos, it makes me think, like, do you not remember what it was like to be in that position? I mean, did you not understand where it was? Because by the way, when we were holding those Tea Party rallies, every member of North Dakota's congressional delegation was a Democrat.
Right.
It was a different time. So I just, not only was it inaccurate and untrue and unfair, but it was bad. I perceived it as bad politics. Now maybe the political calculus has changed and that doesn't matter anymore, but
Right. So I did not go to the No Kings rally this time, but I did go to the previous one. And I will just say, from my perspective in Bismarck, they were joyful. It was people feeling good about standing up for themselves and what they believed in.
Funny signs, funny costumes.
Yeah, right. And it was people who were like, oh, there's people like me, right? And I think at a time when people want some community and are feeling isolated, it's a joyful thing. Kevin Cramer's comments, I will tell you, there's not a lot that politicians can say these days that really pisses me off. Kevin Cramer is talking about my mom. My mom was at the No Kings protest. He's talking about a lot of former Republican elected officials who go to these things, and Republican bureaucrats and grandmas and grandpas and t-ball coaches and teachers and all these things. And he was calling each and every one of us left-wing nut jobs. He wasn't calling Nancy Pelosi a left-wing nut job. He was calling my mom a left-wing nut job. Alice Oban's not a left-wing nut job. She cares about her community. She cares about her grandkids. She cares about her children. And so I don't know if it's Kevin Cramer's gone a little Washington and he's lost touch with who the people are that disagree with him. But Rob, you were talking about the Tea Party thing, and I bet I was one of the people who was calling the Tea Partiers a lot of names. And that was wrong. And I regret that. I also wasn't a U.S. Senator back in 2009. And I think that these are people that Kevin Cramer is supposed to represent, not just his followers' interests as the North Dakota U.S. Senator, but all of our interests. He's my U.S. Senator. He doesn't get to call me a nut job. That's
Well,
not the way this works.
and I think I really wanted to call his comments out because, and this is not me trying to minimize them at all. I was obviously very critical of them, but I mean, they were also kind of in the shadow of, Majority Leader, or excuse me, Majority Whip Tom Emmer from Minnesota calling the protesters terrorists. I mean, in the Hate America rallies, yeah, is what they called it, and I think that is so destructive. This idea that, and I've been thinking a lot about this, like why does democracy work? And it works because it's a market, like the old side, it's a marketplace of ideas, right? And I think I use that because it's true. It's a marketplace of ideas, but marketplaces work when you stop buying bad products. And the partisanship that we have right now demands that you never stop buying the product, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how eye-wateringly terrible. Doesn't matter if the trade tariffs are wrecking your business, or your health insurance premiums are going through the roof, or inflation is still taking a giant bite out of your monthly budget. You're just supposed to keep voting for the team, and it doesn't matter. And democracy doesn't work that way. I mean, at some point, like if you're buying a loaf of bread, and then eventually the price of the loaf of bread goes up and you keep getting moldy slices in there, you stop buying that piece of bread. You stop buying that loaf of bread, you go shop for another loaf of bread. If you don't do that in a democracy. So I've been thinking a lot about that right now, where it's just this. And so this idea that anybody, listen, I know people who have gone to know King protesters who have voted for a lot of Republicans over the years, and they're unhappy right now. And that is their right as Americans to say, I want to change course. This team's not doing it for me anymore. I'm going to try supporting the other team for a while, or an independent team, or what have you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not un-American. It doesn't make you an extremist, and it doesn't make you a terrorist.
And not even necessarily saying, I want to support another team. Some of them are just saying, I want my team to get back on track.
Or that, sure.
I think there's a lot of people who are frustrated, but again, calling names, belittling is beneath a U.S. senator, but maybe it's not when we have the president calling
we
people
say that, but look at the way they're all behaving now. I mean, what's beneath
should
an
be
elected official
maybe it
anymore?
should be beneath a U.S.
I
senator.
agree with
but
that.
I think the comments were disappointing, though, mostly because, like, Kevin Cramer knows people in these communities. He could have walked through that rally over there, and there was no arrests. There was nothing that was not peaceful. I mean, like, these are just a bunch of people from your community getting together and expressing an opinion. And if we can't do that in America, we've got a lot bigger problems than I would have ever guessed.
There is nothing that's more American than standing out and publicly saying our politicians are getting it wrong. That is fundamentally American. So I really want to reiterate, because I think it's well made. Not only does Kevin Cramer know those people, not only could he probably have walked to those crowds and shook some hands and probably got a few raspberries along the way too.
Right.
He used to do stuff like that. I remember when a lot of the left-wing groups were organizing town halls, like that was the big thing. And he went to a town hall that was sponsored by Indivisible, which is a pretty hard left group. He went there and he got yelled at a little bit and he got booed, but he went there and he just talked to him. And I feel like he's lost that. Like he forgot about that. He has forgotten that these people are his constituents. And that used to be central to his political success, where he would show up anywhere, he would talk to anyone, but now they're wackos and terrorists because that's the party line coming out of the White House.
And the other thing about Kevin Cramer, and it drives me crazy, he can go to those environments and handle himself just fine. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's not like he's going in there and he comes out all bruised. He can make jokes. He can do those things.
He wins people over.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's annoying to you. I've always appreciated it about it. Like isn't that the whole point, is to persuade people and win them over and at least make them think, gosh, he's not such a bad guy. But now your senator's saying, oh, if you oppose what's going on in Washington right now, you're a whack job, and my colleagues are calling you terrorists and everything else. I think, boy, you don't care about all your constituents anymore.
and our president is tweeting out or whatever he's doing, Xing out or Facebooking out, poop falling from a plane onto all kinds of people. I feel like our leadership is a bunch of 8-year-olds right now. And by the way, open the damn government, get it done. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant here. I am tired of reading articles about Julie Fedorchak blaming this on the minority party while she's in Bismarck or while she's in North Dakota. Go to Washington, D.C., open the damn government. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, call the House Republicans back, get in a room, figure this out, open the damn government.
Maybe while you're at it, seat that congresswoman who was duly elected from Arizona.
Right.
People. Maybe do the people of Arizona the courtesy of seating their elected representative in the chamber.
Even if she's from another party and disagrees with you, come on.
It might then force an inconvenient vote on releasing the Epstein files,
which I still don't understand. Like, you're part of what you're standing up for is pro pedophile. I mean, I don't get it. Julie Fedorchak.
And the thing about, oh, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
I was just going to say, I want my congresswoman to go back to Washington and help open up the government. I know she's one of 435.
I care less about where Julie Fedorchak is. I mean, I take your point. Your point's well made. Geographically, I don't care, because I think as soon as the House reopens, she'll go there. But this blame game, I mean, listen, the fundamental reality of governing in a republic like ours is sometimes you have to give the other side some of what they want. The Democrats are in a position right now where they don't have to budge until they get something that they want. You better get in a room and figure that out. I mean, that's just the reality. It is frustrating. And then everybody sits around and blames the game. They all want to point fingers. None of them want to point fingers at themselves. They're all perfect paragons and all the problems on the other side. It's just not true. There's so much blame to go around in Washington right now. But in the meantime, Americans are hurting.
Yep. And I don't know that they're feeling it quite yet. Some are. But on November 1st, when 56,000 North Dakotans lose their SNAP benefits, people are going to be feeling it.
Yeah.
And the state can't pick it up. The state can't go in and fix that. So people are going to feel it.
I mean, and that's not the fault of any state of North Dakota official.
Nope.
This is a federal program.
It's a federal program.
But it's a federal program. They're going to do the best of what they can. And we did. I mean, Governor Armstrong, I thought the loan program through the Bank of North Dakota was a great idea. Kind of papering over some of the, helping to bridge the gap for some of the workers. But there's a limit on what the state of North Dakota can do. If SNAP benefits go away, people are going to be hurting. If we get these health insurance premium hikes, people are going to be hurting. And in the meantime, while Congress can't function, it's letting the executive branch run away with things. So things like tariffs, these tariffs are hurting North Dakota farmers, or crop prices are low. Some of this stuff where, the Trump administration, Congress has no check on Trump as he's going to start importing beef from
Argentina.
And it's gonna hurt, ranchers in North Dakota, which, by the way, is a good segue, because our next guest on Friday is going to be Val Wagner. She's a candidate for president of the North Dakota Farm Bureau, which is one of the most important agriculture groups in the state of North Dakota. And by the way, her and her husband ranch. That's how they make their living in the world. So I think it's going to be a very interesting perspective on some of that. We're going to talk with her coming up on Friday. Thank you as always for listening. Remember, you can always reach us, send us a voicemail, send us a text, 701-587-3141. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, @PlainTalkND is our handle. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again. That's it for today on Plain Talk, the voice of North Dakota politics. Plain Talk is a production of Forum Communications Company. Got a question, comment, or suggestion? Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message at 701-587-3141. That's 701-587-3141. If you haven't subscribed to Plain Talk yet, you can find us on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. For those of you who are already hooked, give us a rating or review. And don't forget to share or tell a friend. Special thanks to my co-host Chad Oban, and from myself and everyone at Plain Talk, thanks for listening.
people are only saying really, really good things about you. So I think it's only downhill from here.